Welcome to the Heart-Led Business Show, where compassion meets commerce and leaders lead with love. Join your host, Tom Jacobs, as he delves into the insightful conversations with visionary business leaders who defy the status quo, putting humanity first and profit second. From heartfelt strategies to inspiring stories, this podcast is your compass in the world of conscious capitalism. So buckle up and let your heart guide your business journey.
Well, welcome back to the Heart-Led Business Show. We are about to surf the sweet waves of entrepreneurship with our guest today, Michael Barbarita. This visionary has been steering the ship of retail and manufacturing for 4 decades, from growing Ski Town, USA to a whopping $8 million in turnover. I mean, that's some serious slope of success. Plus, he's even concocted those delightful cookies to scoop, which made a splash on QVC. And let's not forget about the cookie-loving kudos he received in the Bay State back in 1997. So get ready to dive into the heart of business brilliance. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Tom. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I am super excited for this conversation today. We don't often have somebody with manufacturing and retail experience on the show, and I think that's going to be important to have that discussion as well. But of course, the first question I always like to ask is, what's your definition of a heart-led business?
Great question. For me, it's number one, getting the mission clear, meaning, and the vision. And what do I mean by that? The way I define that is, what is the world going to look like when you're done? So what is the world going to look like when I'm done? So that's how I set the tone. And then with that vision and mission comes the passion that nothing is going to stop you from accomplishing that. And that's where the heart-led component really comes in. And it's on a 1 to 10 scale, with 1 being, it would be nice if this would happen, and up to 10 where nothing is going to stop me from achieving this. You have to be at that 10. Because if you're not at that 10, you're going to get, the heart is going to get weak, so to speak. And it's just that because there's just so many pitfalls and roadblocks in your journey that if the heart isn't in it, it's just, you're going to quit. You're going to quit. That's my definition. It starts with the vision and mission, and it really starts with the question, what is the world going to look like when you're done?
Yeah.
And that's really where it starts. And then once you determine that clearly enough, now you determine whether your heart is in that vision mission. And then once it is, then on a scale of 1, then you ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, it would be nice, and 10 being, nothing's going to stop me. Then that's to me, that's a heart-led business.
Oh, I love that. I would guess that if we polled 100 entrepreneurs in their business, that there would probably be 10% maybe that are 10s, and the rest are going to be 9 and below. What do you think?
I think that's true, but I think it's the way you frame the question. I ask that in all of the people that I work with. That's one of the first questions that I ask. On a scale of 1 to 10, how driven are you to do this? How important is it to achieve that vision and mission? And I say it, just like I said it to you. 1 being, it would be okay. 10 being, nothing's going to stop me. And that's when they finally understand it. Because if I just say on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you stand? I'll hear the 7s and 8s. And then I'll say, you're only 70% committed. If they say a 7, I say, you're only 70% committed. And there's, oh no. So it depends how you frame it. Yeah, right. At the C, right. C minus. So
C minus,
yeah. So you have to frame it right for them to answer it correctly. All right, because otherwise they're gonna just think that nothing. Because to some people, nothing is a 10.
Yeah. And for some people, they have 12s.
So, that's right. That's right too. Yeah, I get that as well. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think And I've had guests on here before that were part of kind of profit-led businesses at first and then moved into their own heart-led business. And they said that when they were working in profit and people were just thinking about profit and then there's a bump in the road, it's just easy to bail because then it's just so your heart's not in it. You're just looking
Right.
for the money.
Right.
And that's sad. I don't know if
Yeah,
people like to work like that.
Yeah, it is. I think it happens to a lot of us because sometimes we go in first with the money. What I found is that if you go in with the mission and the vision and you're committed to it, all of that happens by itself. The rest of it happens by itself. The money, the opportunity, the camaraderie with a team, all of that happens by osmosis automatically. It just happens because of your desire. That's how I see it. That's how I've seen it. I started out profit motive. I started out that way. Yeah.
So tell us about business journey.
Okay. So back in 1999, I sold my second business successfully. My first business sold for multiple seven figures. And at that point, I just felt I could do no wrong. And having sold two businesses successfully, I thought I had the keys to the business kingdom, to be honest with you, and I could succeed at anything. So in all of my glory, I started an outpatient rehabilitation facility called Freedom Therapy Center. So in addition to manufacturing, I was also involved in service. And what I found is that in the successful businesses I owned, because I fell on my face in the outpatient rehabilitation facility, but what I found is that in the successful businesses I owned, I always implemented business and financial strategies that my competition wasn't doing. And for some reason, and I don't know the reason, and it took the failure to be able for me to analyze this, but for whatever reason, I did everything that my competition was doing in the outpatient rehabilitation facility. I copied them. I did everything that they were doing. I didn't do anything. Just to give you an example, when I was in the ski business, one of the problems that the customer had was that they didn't know if the ski they were being sold by some hotshot ski salesperson that would flex the ski in their face was the right ski for them until they got it up on the mountain and tried it out. So what we did is we implemented what we call the ski guarantee. Ski the ski 3 times, you don't like it, bring it back for a brand new pair and keep bringing it back until we get it right. Now, as you probably know, and as your audience probably knows, if you ski on a ski, it depreciates substantially. So my managers and employees thought I was nuts because it was so contrary to what was happening. And I knew two things. Number one, I knew my competition wouldn't do it in a million years. And two, the second thing I knew is that all the customer really wanted was a great ski experience, because there's nothing worse in the world than to spend all the money and all the time to go to the mountain and then have a terrible experience because my skis aren't working properly or my skis don't feel right to me. So there's nothing worse in the world. So that's all the customer really wanted, was a great ski experience. The first year we implemented, we sold 8,000 pair of skis, a 25% increase, and only 8 came back. And my employees thought thousands of pair of skis were going to come back and then we're going to lose a ton of money.
Of course they did.
Right. This is where your mission and vision comes in, and you have to really fight off even your team members at times. Okay. Because and that was a great example of that. Another thing that we did in the ski business is everybody and his brother had ski packages, skis, bindings, poles, even skis, bindings, poles, and boots. Everybody, every competitor, everyone. But what we did is we took the most popular ski graphics, okay, the skis that sold the most and the coloration that was on there, and we went to the clothing department and we put together matching parka, pant, hat, and sweater and packaged it up. And we sold a ton of them. After we sold the skis, we just brought them over to the clothing department and showed them the matching clothing package.
Talk about contrarian. So what's coming to mind right now is you're listening to your customer and doing things differently than your competitors, which to me is brilliant, because if you do the same thing that everybody else is doing, you become a commodity, and then
Right.
it's a race to the floor. Versus being unique and different, there is no downside. There's only upside.
Right. Absolutely. And
In the
okay,
rehab
great.
business, did you listen to your customers?
No.
Okay. You didn't listen
Right.
to your customers, and you did
No.
anything that
I followed the crowd. In other words, I call it I hope so marketing. Let me explain that concept, Tom. When somebody says great service, highest quality, been in business for 2,000 years, great location, we're honest and sincere, okay, all of that, okay, the customer is saying to themselves, I hope so. I hope you have high quality. I hope you have great experience. Why would I do business with somebody who doesn't have high quality and great experience? And why would I do business with someone who isn't honest and sincere?
Right.
And by the way, Al Capone thought he was honest and sincere. So I call it I hope so marketing, because if you look at your website and the competitor's website, I bet you they're saying very similar things. And so you have to break that mold. And so what I was doing when I was in the rehab business is I was just copying my competitors. And I was doing the all I hope so. We have great service. We have the best physical therapists. We're honest. We're fair with the reimbursement. All of that. All of it. Doesn't work.
No. You must have seen my first advertising in my fitness business, because that was exactly the same message that I had. Great parking, convenient hours.
Yeah, I had the
Like,
parking thing too. Yeah.
it's like, really?
And I didn't realize it until I completely fell on my face.
Yeah.
And then I said, why did I fall on my face? Because I had the keys to the business kingdom. Remember earlier I said that? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I analyzed it, it's because I did exactly what my competition was doing. And you can't. And the reason why those packages work so well too is not only because that they matched the skis, but packaging and bundling products and services together can separate you from your competition as well, because in all likelihood, they don't have the same package and bundle. And my competitors, even after it worked, by the way, which is weird, but even after it worked, did not copy me on either the ski guarantee or the packaging of the clothing.
That's interesting. They must have been fearful of what your employees were fearful of, but returns.
And that's how they wrote it off. It's not, he's getting hammered on that.
Costco does the same thing. They have the free lifetime return guarantee if you're not completely satisfied. And I'm sure some people take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
Charged.
Yes, absolutely.
But at the end of the day, like, it's a great business model, because they're grown so fast, so quickly, and it's clearly not impacting their bottom line that much.
Yeah. And what I found, it's part of the 5 components of a compelling offer. It's called a risk reversal. And when you can when you can do an effective risk reversal, especially if you're solving a problem at the same time. If you recall, I said the problem the customer had was the ski they were being sold, they didn't know if it was the right ski for them until they tried it out. But and the other thing is, people don't want to look foolish, Tom. And a risk reversal eliminates that, especially to their spouse or to their friends. They don't want to look like a fool. So when they make a purchase, they want to make sure that it's right for them. And the guarantee ensures that. And so that's why a risk reversal is so compelling and should be part of every business owner's offer.
Yeah. For my signature program, Selling with Heart, I offer a full money back guarantee if we don't help them double their sales in 6 months.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's a phenomenal guarantee. Phenomenal.
Yeah. It's nerve-wracking, but again, it puts our feet to the fire in terms of delivering on that service, but also, like you said, making it easy for the prospect to buy, because now they're like, if it doesn't work out, then I can get my money back.
Right. Absolutely.
And when the business owner gives a guarantee, that you're showing really strong confidence in your product and your service. Yeah. If you have the heart in the business, then of course you're going to be successful with that.
Absolutely. Because nothing's going to stop you. Because nothing's going to stop you.
And then I just killed my camera. I must have a loose wire somewhere on my desk. You must have a really strong desk if you have to
Yes, I do.
if you're
I got a very powerful desk. That's right. We can handle anything.
That's awesome. So let's go back to your businesses and how did you transition then into the heart-led business model?
The way I did that is in the business I'm in now, Next Step CFO. For the most part, money driven, if you will, if that's what you want to call it. And what I saw when I got into this business, and I got into it 30 days after I closed Freedom Therapy Center. So I got into it right away because the hardest step in life to take is the step after the fall, the next step. And that's why I named my company Next Step CFO. Because because I fell on my face, and the hardest step to take is the step after the fall, the next step. And like I said, as I reflected, I said, maybe, just maybe, profit motivation isn't all of it. And what I saw was overwhelmed business owners. And I was coming off of an overwhelming situation. So that's what made me feel like, okay, I was overwhelmed in that situation. I thought I was hot shot city, right? Going into it, I thought I was the bee's knees or whatever it's called, right? And then coming out of it after falling on my face, I'm saying to myself, maybe it's not all about profit, and seeing that I was totally overwhelmed. Then having interviewed some small business owners, they seemed very overwhelmed. And none of them had time freedom, which is what their expectation was when they started their business. They thought they were going to have time freedom and consistent profit. And as we all know, the journey is a little wavy on the graph.
Oh, yeah.
That's what drove the transition for me. It was my own experience when you think about it. It was my own experience. It was me just falling down, being overwhelmed, and recognizing that overwhelm and time freedom needs to be something that business owners have to achieve, because that's what their intent was when starting their business in the first place. And so that began the heart-led component.
And then within that component of the heart-led, what are some of the principles that you stand by then that really solidify that heart-led piece?
The way the world is going to look like for me when I'm done is that overwhelmed business owners will achieve, to ensure that overwhelmed business owners achieve consistent profits that leads to time freedom to build a legacy and the life they desire. That's really, to me, that's my heart. That's what's in my heart.
Okay.
Because that's what I felt when I fell down. You know, I like I said, I was overwhelmed. I was working 80 hours a week. Nothing was working right. The employees were leaving. They saw a sinking ship. I was waking up in the middle of the night with cold sweats, worried about cash flow and all the customers I was losing. I want to build a legacy, you know, in my particular case. And I wanted to lead the life that I desired. And that's why that's my vision, that's my passion, and that's what converted me. My failing converted me is really what happened.
Yeah, I see that quite a bit as well. And that's definitely happened to me also, is when any of the businesses that I've been involved in, if I was just focused on the money side of it, it never went really well. But when I got focused on just serving the client and really just falling in love with the client and understanding what their needs and their desires were and are, then solving those problems, then the money comes.
Right.
And it usually will come very well. Now, on the caveat for that, though, is a lot of heart-led business owners fear charging what they are worth. What type of advice would you give to those heart-led business owners who, and I was one at one point, I still am a little bit. I think I undercharge a lot of my stuff, but what type of advice would you give them?
First of all, you have to believe in your product or service. That's number one, that core belief. The second thing is you have to add more value. You have to continuously add more value and improve. And it's based on what you said earlier. If your business is heart-led, you're in constant improvement mode,
Yeah.
right? We're in constant improvement mode. So on that basis alone, that you're gonna be able to understand and focus better. Now, with respect, let me say this too. Let me give you an example of adding more value, okay? Because this is a nutso thing. When I was in the frozen cookie dough business, okay, the problem the customer had, and as you notice, I always go there. You have to identify the problem that the customer has. So the problem the customer had was they wanted to sell cookies as an add-on sale. They wanted to do that, okay?
Okay.
But the problem they had is they didn't want to waste valuable oven space baking cookies. If you're a pizza parlor, you didn't want to put cookies in the oven. You want to put pizza in the oven. Okay. Right. You're a sub shop. You wanted to warm up subs and put subs in the oven. Okay.
Right.
There were two things that happened that made me do what I'm about to say. Number one is I really understood the long-term value of a customer. And I believed in my product. Mm-hmm. And the second thing is I understood the long-term value of a customer. Because my average opening order was $50, but I gave away a free convection oven with every opening order that cost me $200. So I would lose money on every opening order, but I solved the problem that they had and I got in more doors.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Love it.
And the long-term value of a customer was $5,000.
Oh my gosh.
Now, if I didn't believe in my product, then I would never do that in a million years because I'd be exchanging $50 for $200. The other thing too, Tom, that gets in the way sometimes is business owners hate the numbers and the data.
Yep.
But you have to understand the story of your financial get putting the CFO hat on here. Right. You have to understand the story that the financial statements are telling you. Okay. And a lot of business owners don't like that at all.
That, or they put their head in the sand. I've done that so much. I know the numbers are bad. I don't want to reconcile I don't want to look at those. I don't want to see the story.
And that's the other component of it. And because we talk about the heartfelt, but we still have to involve the story that the financial statements are telling you. That it's not something we can avoid. And a lot of business owners choose to.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But yeah, it's so important. And that's one thing that especially when I do the sales coaching, it's knowing those numbers, because with those numbers, like you said, they tell a story, but also give you an opportunity to then improve what you need to improve.
But absolutely. I'd be out of business if that wasn't the equation, because I'm both a CFO and strategic implementation specialist. So I combine the financial with the strategic. And if that wasn't true, that you do have to understand the story that your financial statements are telling you, then I would be out. At least at half of my business.
While we're on that topic, why don't you tell us a little bit about your business and how people can get a hold of you and potentially work with you?
So we are fractional CFOs and strategic implementation specialists. And we combine the financial with the strategic so that the business owner can be comfortable that they know that financially the strategies that we present work, because we show it in a business and cash flow forecast where they can change the numbers and adjust the forecast any way they want. And it's dynamic so that they're able to see what it looks like if they're 20% off, if they're 20% up, if some expense like insurance, which has been unbelievable with my clients in terms of how it's increased, goes up dramatically and what that impact would look like. And then we also give them the strategy so that they have a path on how to get there. So we just don't tell them you got to do 3 million in sales. We show them how to get to 3 million in sales.
Good.
Okay. But what I do is I have a book called Powerful Business Strategies that I give away on my website. You just come to my website and get the book.
Oh, cool.
But I also do book interviews. And because I'm always updating the book. And the reason is business is always changing. And because business is always changing, I want to make sure the strategies in the book still work in different industries. So I interview business owners, and essentially the interview goes like this. It's 60 minutes on Zoom. I present strategies from my book. And then I ask if what the impact the strategy would have if a business owner were to implement it in your industry. And then I document it for the book. And that's it. It's 60 minutes. The way to get a book interview is you just go to nextstepcfo.net, hit the contact button, fill out the contact form, and in the message sent section, just put the word book interview. And I'll take it from there.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. Yeah. Thanks for doing that for the audience. I'm sure they will certainly appreciate that as well. Michael, thank you so much for spending your time with us today and sharing your insights of 4 decades of being in business and having some great success and some failures as well.
That's right.
Love those stories. So that's amazing. So thank you very much for sharing.
Thanks for having me, Tom. Really, always fun.
And thank you, listeners, for tuning in today, because I really appreciate you guys. And I know Michael appreciates you here as well. Make sure that you're checking out everything that he's doing. We're going to provide all of those links down in the show notes, so it makes it very easy for you to grab all that information. While you're down there in the show notes, there might be a review button. And I'd really love it if you could give the show a rating and a review. It just helps spread the word about the Heart-Led Business Show and help those that might be struggling a little bit in their business. So until next time, lead with your heart.
You've been listening to the Heart-Led Business Show, hosted by Tom Jacobs. Join us next time for another inspiring journey into the heart of business.